Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. Welcome to the Starting 11 show. It's Premier League football night. It's Monday night. It's Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. Big round of applause for the team and Arsenal's second Premier League game of the season. I never really know what we're clapping for. I think we're just all happy to be back, aren't we? Let's welcome our amazing panel. Frank to my right. We can absolutely clap for Frank, for Mr. Dan Potts as well, and for Sharoy. Welcome everyone, go follow everyone on their social media channels, YouTube channels as well. Everyone here is making a lot of content as well, so please go support everybody. If you're interested in more Arsenal and football related content, let's try and look ahead at the starting 11. We're going to find out in 28 minutes time what Mikel Arteta is cooking, because the rumours are out there that he's changing things up again. Things are looking very unpredictable for Arsenal, and we're so funny as a fan base, aren't we? We asked for this. Oh, we know the 11 every week. We need depth. We need options. We need to mix it up. Arteta mixes up. Oh, what's he doing? Oh no, this looks weird. This looks different. I haven't seen this. But isn't that the whole point, Sharoy?
Yeah, look, to an extent. But I think a lot of people thought that the 11 or the system would be changed up when the games were coming thick and fast, and we were in quite a few competitions or whatever. But given that it's game week 2, we're playing once a week, and we're still seeing this level of unpredictability, I think that's what leaves fans a little bit nervous. But let's be honest, and this isn't meant to be derogatory about Palace in any way, shape or form, but given where we finished last year and the amount that we strengthened, I think regardless of the 11 or the system, we should be feeling quite confident about the result going into this game, and I think that might be what Arteta's thinking as well. Yeah,
agree with that, Dan?
Yeah, listen, we want to see a competition for places, don't we? That's the first thing we want to see, and we're getting that now. The only thing I will say is if we are going to start to chop and change and we're not going to be unpredictable about it, it may be that in 7 or 8 games time there's not the momentum that we had last season, because everybody knew our starting 11. Now sometimes that can be easy to play against because everyone knows what the 11 is going to be, but actually what it can do sometimes is it can work in kind of our favour as well by having a starting 11 that we all know that could be gelled together. And I think everybody expected James to start this season when everybody was fit. It would be a similar 11 to last season with Jesus and Zinchenko when they're back, and Rice just comes in for Xhaka. And now we've had some injuries already to Jesus, Zinchenko, and of course Timber now. We've not been able to utilise that. And I think me and Sharoy were talking earlier, the only time we've seen our probably best 11 without Jesus and Zinchenko was probably the Community Shield game. Yeah. So with 2 games in, I think we will get back to that. I'm just not quite sure when it will be.
So do you think it'll revert to something more similar to that, Frank? We are going to obviously go position by position and really break down what this 11 could look like, and then there are rumours about Gabriel, so it's worth kind of discussing that with all the rumours around his, Real Madrid supposedly interested as well. We'll tackle all that, but generally, do you expect Arteta to look at what he did in that Community Shield game, where it was a tougher opponent, it was, it wasn't at the Emirates, and maybe revert to type a little bit?
I do, absolutely, because believe it or not, I actually think this is going to be a tougher game than people expect. We've been to, I think Sharoy said it just a minute ago, some fans will come here and expect us to just turn them over. We've been here in the past. We've got quite a shock result in the past as well. I think it was the season that we just nearly qualified for Champions League.
The 3-0 defeat.
The 3-0 defeat, and everyone expected us to win that game, and it just didn't happen. So I wouldn't get too confident yet. Obviously, I still expect to win. I don't think it's going to be very convincing, and I do think you have to go as full strength as possible for me, absolutely.
Okay, so what does full strength as possible look like? Because we've mentioned that Community Shield. I can't even say, well, we know the goalkeeper. We know. No, there's a Raya Ramsdale battle now. Raya got 60 minutes in a behind closed doors friendly. We expect it to be Ramsdale, surely, guys.
Yeah. I can't see Ramsdale getting dropped for this one. But I mean, look, just going back to that 3-0 very quickly, right? That 3-0. James, I think you were in Thailand. I remember you sending in like a video or something, distraught after that game, having stayed awake until like 4 a.m. or
That was awful. I was up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I remember.
It was towards the end of my holiday as well, so I was sort of, holiday blues is coming to the end. You know what? Let's watch Arsenal. And I remember, bless my girlfriend the day, asking me in the morning, how'd it go? Don't even bother.
Famous last words.
I am sleep deprived. I'm angry. Let's just go enjoy Phuket, because it was just like,
I know, but the reason I bring that up is because I think Tierney was either already out for that or he went down in the game, but Partey did go down in that game, right? And in that position, there was absolutely no one to step in and cover those positions, and we got found out, and that started the Palace, Brighton, Southampton, where we lost those 3 in a row. Whereas here we're in a position where, yes, we've lost someone like Timber, but we're now looking at the prospect of someone like Zinchenko coming in. You know, and that is someone who we said was transformative last season, and that's why I'm slightly less apprehensive about any rotation this year. If you're talking about our strongest 11 now, I'll be honest with you, based on what I've seen in pre-season, I don't know what Arteta feels the strongest system is.
Yeah.
Let alone the strongest 11. Do you see what I mean? I think the 11 will be dictated by the system that he chooses. I don't know if it's going to be Partey at right back, if he thinks that's something that he really wants to progress going forward, or that was just something that he felt we could do at home against Forest. So if I had to choose my 11, my back four is probably looking like Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. I'm looking at.
That's mine too.
I'm looking at Partey, Rice, Odegaard, and I'm looking at Saka, Martinelli, and quite frankly, I'm not bothered whether it's Nketiah or Trossard down the middle. I'd be happy with either because I can see what they both bring, and crucially, I can see what they both bring off the bench. But there, you're leaving out Kai Havertz, and that's someone that I think Arteta wants to accommodate.
Yeah, I agree on the Havertz thing. I do think he's really trying to accommodate him. I do lean towards Trossard massively. I'm not quite as one or the other. I do really favour for this game in particular Trossard. But we all agree other than that is probably our best 11.
It's definitely, I would agree and say that is our best 11 that we've got available at the moment. The only one I'd question a little bit is maybe Zinchenko. Don't get me wrong, in terms of ability, he's probably the best that we've got to play there, but it's a question of fitness. Obviously, he didn't have much of a pre-season, and for me, you're probably going to be looking at, I mean, it should be Tierney, but that's not going to happen. So you're probably looking at putting Tomiyasu out there, or maybe even Kivior for me.
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room then. There are rumours about Gabriel, and I always want to stress the difference between rumours and reports, and if there's an ITK or someone that I really kind of back, you know, who's been right on things, I'll tell you, you know, it's come from this person who's got things right, like Alex Goldberg got the Kai Havertz stuff right in the transfer window, like Team News and Ticks is super on it when it comes to, you know, starting 11 news or whatever. There have been things just doing the rounds, and it's got people on Twitter talking, I keep saying Twitter, X, sorry, that Gabriel isn't going to start tonight. And he didn't start the last game, he came on, and we also been seeing now rumours that Real Madrid are apparently interested in him. He's had approaches from clubs in Saudi Arabia. Dan, do you have to sweat on this one a little bit? Because I've been quite relaxed, but I don't know if I should be.
We shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to, because this should be a complete and utter no, we're not selling him, as far as I'm concerned. Bizarre that he's not playing, if that's the case tonight as well. Probably our best defender last season. I mean, Saliba got the headlines rightly so, was out for a long period of time towards the back end of the season. Gabriel, I'd say from Christmas onwards, was outstanding for us.
I agree.
And I don't really understand where this has come from, if I'm honest. And if the rumours are true that, you know, Real Madrid are interested, that should be one of the main reasons you want to keep this guy, because Real Madrid want our centre half, and we're going to go for it. I don't think I can see that. I really don't think I can see him going, and I do believe that the system at the moment, like Shari's mentioned, is a little bit, we don't know what. The starting 11, we don't know what. Gabriel's got to be in the starting 11 if fit for me. So I put it down last time to maybe he wasn't feeling 100% or it wasn't 100% fit, but I believe he is now. If it's true that he's not going to come in, then maybe we should start worrying, because that's a bit of a strange one for me. What else could it be?
Well, I tried to reason it by talking about tactical insight with Graham, that, you know, ultimately Saliba, White, you could argue Tomiyasu, Timber for sure, are just better on the ball. They're better technicians than Partey at right back. They're better on the ball than Gabriel. Now, I don't think Gabriel's bad. In fact, bad on the ball. I actually think he's one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. And what I mean by that is I think his performances are up there with a lot of the top centre-backs, and for some reason it kind of, I don't know why, because he gives the odd penalty away or something, or I don't know what it is, he's kind of not respected in that way. I'd be really devastated if there was actually something to this, that, you know, he's not in the 11, Arteta's sort of moving the team on from him, because I think you've got to have someone who is just a rock solid, loves to defend defender, and I'm worried that Arteta might be trying to evolve a bit. Maybe this is all too soon. Been one Premier League game he's missed.
Yeah.
But if he misses tonight, Palace away, that feels like prime Gabriel to me, sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not even looking at this game in isolation now. I'm looking at where we were last season in terms of the squad and what we've brought in, and knowing that we're in the Champions League now. When you're in the Champions League, you can't rotate the way you did in the Europa League. You need elite level in that competition as well. We've brought in Kai Havertz, and we've brought in Declan Rice, we've got rid of Granit Xhaka. So if you're just looking at the numbers game, we're up one in that position. You're looking at the back, we brought in Timber, he's probably out for the season. All right. So if you're then looking at one of your leading centre backs also being dispensed with, you might be leaving it a little bit too late in the window. And the reason I don't think we have to worry about this is, for the last 2 seasons, Arteta has placed great emphasis on getting his business done early, so he can have a good pre-season, he can take these boys on the tour, and he has everyone together. So I really don't understand why he would have taken someone like Gabriel on the pre-season tour and retained him and kept him in and amongst the first team if there was any plan to get rid of him. I just don't see it as part of his vision.
Let's make predictions of what we think is going on. Mine is, he is a part of the plans. The rumours are sparked by the fact he didn't play, and that sometimes we think chicken and egg, you know. Yeah. Is he not in the team because of the rumours, or are the rumours there because he's not in the team? I think because he wasn't in the team, you know, people in the media having their fun with it, and maybe they've heard someone who is somewhat related into the Real Madrid hierarchy going, oh, they think he's a good player. They think he's a good player. Wow, you know, they're keeping tabs. They're keeping tabs on him, and then a story comes out. That's what I think, and I'm really hopeful he starts tonight. Frank, what do you think's happening?
No, I'm in complete agreement. You know, we mentioned it in the Forest game. Obviously, he wasn't starting that game. We believed at the time it was for tactical reasons. I think it broke a streak of, what was the stat in the end? I think it was 74 games, consecutive Premier League games in a row that he'd started, and then all of a sudden he wasn't out. He wasn't in the starting 11. And
extraordinary amount of games. That may cost us over 2 seasons.
Yeah, 2.5, something like 2.5 seasons, and it makes you wonder now that obviously the news has come out, the Real Madrid link. Maybe it has got something to do with that. I mean, I don't want to see him go. Out of all of our centre backs, I mean, I could probably stomach him the most leaving over Saliba or someone like that. But I don't want to see him go. I'm hoping he's back in the starting 11 today, and you know, time will tell.
Let's see. Dan, any comments? Yeah.
Well, listen, all I can think is that Mikel Arteta playing the system that we did against Forest, if that is the system he's going with tonight, he doesn't see Gabriel in that formation. Yeah. That is the only thing I can think it is. It's not a lack of ability. It's not lack of quality for me. The guy's insanely good
Top
at
class.
the back. So I'll be very, very surprised if it is anything else. But I don't think he'll leave, man. I don't think he can leave after Timber getting injured as well. Crazy.
Eros says, tired of Arteta's Dexter's laboratory experiments. Chacha says, can Gabriel go due to FFP? I don't think Arsenal would be making signings that would force them to sell other players, if that makes sense. That were key. Dave Jordan with his usual sarcasm. James knows best. Arteta out. Oh, James is good at starting baseless rumours, says Latif. Listen, get on social media and you'll see. What do you want me to say? Am I wrong? And what I'm saying, we all came in today and everyone's going, I'm here at Cooper.
It was a talking point.
That's why I say it's just rumours, and we address that it's just rumours. And if I actually think there's anything to worry about, genuinely, we'll tell you that there are reports that there's something to worry about. AP says, after Xhaka leaving and Timber injured, we really have only added one player to our depth. Need some more to compete with City.
It's true.
Yeah, it is. Canadian Gooner says, Tierney and now Gabriel, when will it end, Robbie? Kevin says, it's all about money, pay him similar to Saliba. No, I don't think that's fair. He signed a new contract in October, I think, Gabriel. He's very committed to the cause. Let's see what's going on. Okay, let's talk about the other position then, left back. Timber's out. We don't know, because Arsenal don't tell us anything when it comes to injuries. We know that it's about 6 months minimum. We're likely looking at 7 to 9. We know that it's not, I'm just speaking like someone who knows what I'm talking about, I don't. We know it's not like a complete tear of the ACL, or is it?
I don't know we do know yet, do we?
I don't think
know much
said
other than it's ACL.
Yeah, like you said, the club didn't give us much, but I believe that the extent of it, if it's a complete tear, then I think it's 6 to 9 months out. If it's a rupture, then maybe up to a year. We just need to get that confirmation.
Let's wait to see if we kind of know more. But Timber's out, so what is the solution? And you've got a few. Tierney wasn't in the matchday squad last week. Kiviour has played left back for Arsenal, ended last season at left back. Tomiyasu, plenty of appearances in pre-season and in the Forest game as left back. In fact, came on for Timber. And Zinchenko, only 60 minutes behind closed doors against Luton, a 3-0 win, and last year's starting left back. It's not bad options. It's not bad. Dan, what are you thinking?
Do you want what I would do, or do you want what I think Arteta would do? Or do you want both?
Both.
So I would start Kieran Tierney. I think everybody knows I'm a big fan of Kieran Tierney. But
well, Dave Jordan has just said, question for Dan, who wins, 11 Tierneys or 11 Messi?
Dave Jordan wins, man. That's what I say. Big
Good
up,
answer.
Dave. Big up, Dave. Listen, I would say I think that Arteta will go with Tomiyasu.
Okay.
Because I think Tomiyasu coming on against Forest proved that he's probably next in line. And I think Tomiyasu is a very good player. Mm-hmm. I think it's such a shame that we haven't actually seen him for a season. We've seen 2 seasons where he's hit bad injuries, which haven't just kept him out for a couple of games, kept him out for long periods of time. I'm a big fan of Kivior from what I've seen at the back end of last season and the start of this season. I will say that, and I think he had a good pre-season, but I just think with Tomiyasu, I think in terms of one-on-one defending, I think the aerial threat, which I think is how Palace will try and score goals, because they've got some physical presence, Palace, you know, they're going to be trying to get it in the box. I think Tomiyasu is needed for that, so that's what I think. That's what I think we'll go with, but listen, I don't know. It's so hard, isn't it?
Okay. You've made a great case for Tomiyasu. It's changing my mind a little bit. But Shiroi, where are you with it?
For me, Zinchenko's fit. Zinchenko plays.
Yeah.
The control that guy brings, we can't forget that. I know that there's a lot of people are forgetting about it to an extent because Timber came in and looked imperious, and Zinchenko was suddenly just seen as the Timber reserve to many. But Zinchenko, not just in terms of ability, but in terms of mentality on the pitch, you can see what he does. He's an absolute talisman, and I like the fact that in the Rio interview, for example, Zinni was like, no, I know what my weaknesses are, you know, and I'm going to work on them. I'm actually curious to see if he does level up again this year.
Yeah.
You know, and look, this might come back and bite me in the arse in about an hour, but I assume it's going to be Jordan Ayew on that flank. Zinchenko should be able to cope with that. If the centre back to his right hand side does his job, I think Zinchenko should be able to cope with that. Look, if he was up against, you know, someone of that Riyad Mahrez ilk or whatever, then I'd completely understand that you might need someone who's a bit more of a one-on-one master. But I just think given the control that Zinni can give us in midfield in a game like this, I'd start him. Does
Zinchenko starting put pressure on a Gabriel start though? Because they had such a good dynamic. Gabriel left-footed, covered that side well. Obviously the defence breaks into a back three to allow Zinchenko to do what he does. So for all we've said on, like we've mentioned, rumours and nothing more than rumours, not even coming from, you know, the team news and ticks or whatever, rumours, but does that suggest that Gabriel really should be in the 11 if Zinchenko starts?
Well, look, I gave you what I thought our best 11 was, and Gabriel was in it.
That's true.
But it wouldn't even surprise me if he felt as though to compensate for the fact that he has Zinni on the left, he puts Tomiyasu in at left centre back. You know, we just don't know. There was a point maybe a season or two ago when Ben White was the starting right centre back, for example, and Tomiyasu was the starting right back. Tommy then goes down, Ben White goes out to right back. We're then trying to figure out where Tommy plays. Tommy plays left back against Liverpool. Tommy can play centre back. I mean, they can all play everywhere. And when Manchester City do this sort of stuff, no one's sitting there going, oh wow, Nathan Ake's not playing. You know, everyone's like, well, fair enough.
Interesting. Could it be Tomiyasu left centre back?
It could be, I don't know. And Arteta in this presser, before this, said, no, I'm going to be unpredictable. They said, look, doesn't it feel like you have perhaps so many options that you're switching it up a bit too much? And he said, no, that's a good problem. That's a good problem for me. And then they asked him, did you tail off towards the end of last season because people figured you out a little bit? Right? And I thought that was quite a poignant question. His response was no, because it doesn't take people 33 games to figure you out. These are high level managers. If they could have figured us out,
good question, good answer.
Yeah, they would have done it in 2 or 3. We tailed off. It wasn't because they figured us out. But I like the fact that he wants to be unpredictable.
Do you know what? Yeah, agreed.
Sorry, man. Do you think Zinchenko, I agree with you, I think if he's fit, he's in the starting 11. Hasn't played any football for how long? I mean, I haven't seen Zinchenko since March.
Yeah. Newcastle away, wasn't it?
Was it that the last time?
Newcastle away was his last Premier League game.
I'm struggling to see if he walks straight in. But listen, if he walks straight in, I trust the manager's got it right to believe he's 100% fit. That's the only reason I wouldn't have gone with Zinchenko. So for me, if he's fit, I put him in the first team, 100% with Shiroi. But I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that he is 100% fit. So I don't know.
Let's see. Denzel D says, strong panel, big up. Thank you so much, Denzel D, for supporting the channel. And anyone who is watching this, if you're enjoying it, please hit the like button and subscribe to AFTV as well. Ash says, please stop listing KT as an option. Move on. Yeah, but Ash, he is there and he is an option because he's still at the club. And he was still a £25 million signing, and he came on in the Community Shield. So you can't tell us to ignore a player that only 2 weeks ago Arteta saw as a solution to getting us over the line in the Community Shield. Yes, he had a poor game. We covered that on this channel. But you can't tell us to move on from someone who's only just recently used by Arteta in important circumstances. Kevin says Arteta doesn't keep players he didn't buy. Well, then he's talking about Tierney. Well, but the thing is, I'm not sure that's true. I don't think I don't think Arteta only puts faith in the players he signed. We're now hearing rumours that Nicolas Pepe apparently is back in full training and is like going to be reintegrated into the team in some capacity. So
He didn't buy Saliba either, did he? That was Emery.
you're right.
Martinelli.
It's quite a few. I mean,
Sinan says, Gabby to stay a defender window. I'm not sure what Sinan means there. But anyway, let's see what happens with Gabriel and the transfer window. So, okay, Havertz. Does he get a start today, whether it be in midfield or up front for anyone? Anyone? Hands up if you're going for Havertz.
That was unfortunate.
No. Go on, Frank, why not?
Well, I think there's just, obviously, I don't think he played necessarily bad against Nottingham Forest. When he was in that midfield role, I think he did very well. I said that on the half-time show as well. And for me, it becomes an issue when he goes up top. I don't believe he's got the necessary work rate that he needs to play in that striker position. And at the moment, you know, Eddie scored last week.
When you say work rate, what do you mean?
I just think especially when he went up front against Nottingham Forest. It might be because it was a bit late in the game, but he just looked a bit lazy for me. And that's not going to work in this Arsenal squad. If you look at that striker role at the moment, I'm not his biggest fan at the moment, but Eddie Nketiah scored the goal against Nottingham Forest. Can't argue with goals as a striker. Leandro Trossard's looked amazing in pre-season. Got what turned out to be a very crucial goal against Manchester City. I think you'll be looking at those two as the striker options today. And in terms of the midfield, you've just got to go for what's the strongest. And for me, that is Partey in the holding role, Rice as the box-to-box, and Ødegaard as the deep line.
I think Havertz does try hard. Like I think the effort to try and win the ball back and I don't think it comes naturally to him. So he looks like he's going to challenges he doesn't want to be a part of. But I think sometimes people can mistake not wanting to do it with maybe not necessarily being able to do it.
I think his body language is a little bit Mesut Ozil or Andre Arshavinish.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like he's actually doing much. But actually, if you look at the press against Forest, he was class in terms of his ability and the hard work in the running back, the chasing. I think that was
one more duels, I think, than any other Arsenal player.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. There you go. That's why you're on the Tactical Insight show, mate.
Well, I better double check it for us. But I'm pretty sure I read that. Yeah.
But for me, I wouldn't play him today because I do believe there's better options in front of him. And I've always seen Kai Havertz as a squad player when we bought him. I didn't buy him for that 65 million and think, well, he's definitely got to start. I think Mikel Arteta sees it the other way around. I think he says, I've got to make this work and I'm going to find a place for this guy. And I think he's done well at the moment, Kai Havertz. I'm not one of these fans who's going to get on the back of it and say what an unbelievable signing this has been already 2 games in. But I think he has done well. Yeah. I expect him to start today. I wouldn't play him, but I think he probably will start.
Yeah,
sure. Whereabouts, that's the only thing.
Yeah. Well, I think the team will be very, very similar to what we saw against Forest, other than Tomiyasu for Timber.
Fair enough.
Tomiyasu for Timber, okay. What do you think?
I just think if you're talking about Havertz's 2 positions at Arsenal being the 8 or the 9, right now, we have a better 8 and we have better 9s.
Absolutely.
And that's not me saying that Havertz doesn't have the potential to usurp one of those 2 or 3 players, but he's very early under Arteta. And the reason I say it's early is because I'm a firm believer in Arteta's ability to improve players, even if they're players that come in with a high price tag and a reputation, because you can see where Bukayo Saka was, you can see where Martinelli was, you could even see where Granit Xhaka was. And with Granit Xhaka, that's a slightly more bespoke example because he was a bit later on in his career and Arteta still found a way to improve him. So it's not just like he's moulding youth, he can do it with experience. And I think give Havertz time under Arteta and he may well be good enough to walk into an 11 that I name on the starting 11 show. But right now, completely agree with Frank in terms of who the 8 and the 9 should be.
I'd be very hesitant. I'm just trying to get Havertz's match stats up against Forest in that win last week, but I'd be very hesitant to go with a player like Havertz whose style is a little bit more give me the ball, pass and move, like, you know, I need the conditions to be right necessarily. I'm not saying that's necessarily true, but it just feels like if this game gets tough for us and we're gonna have to weather spells, which I'm sure we will, I trust Declan Rice to not take anything away from us going forward when we are in our pomp playing our best, but also offer us a lot when we do have to just drop into a shape and get us through. I think he's a more of an all-round option in that 8. And then when you're looking as a 9 and saying, okay, we'll get Havertz there, I sort of hear it, you know, he's hiked, maybe you can go long to him. But Selhurst Park, this isn't the big Wembley pitch, this isn't Man City who are going to press you all over, in which Havertz is more of an outlet. I think it's more the intricacies, tight spaces, what can you do? And your most technical players, for me, or Odegaard, but Trossard's in there too. And I'd want Trossard leading the line for that very reason. I'm not even sure Eddie's going to get the space he's going to want in this game, because if we're talking about Eddie being a poacher and sniffing out where the goal's going to come, the chance is going to come, I think we're going to need help making that chance happen, because I think they're going to be hard to break down. So Trossard for me is the all-round best option. So I'd be quite staggered. Yeah, go on.
I felt exactly the same at Forest though. I was saying the same before Forest. I thought they're going to come here, they're going to set up and just try and defend. So we're going to need someone who's going to unlock there, and it wasn't Trossard.
But don't you think that was addressed somewhat by Arteta by having a system in which it was essentially 3 defenders, and it was Partey and Rice, and there was Erdogan and Havertz. So whatever Trossard would have brought in terms of dropping in and link play, well, we had 2 10s.
Yeah.
So you could afford an Eddie.
And you're suggesting because we're away at Selhurst and not at home to Forest, he's not going to lean towards playing that system again?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That is what I'm saying.
I haven't a clue. That's the point. This is the first season in a long time where week in, week out, I'm in the dark as to how we're going to set up, and I just hope that also has the desired effect with opposition managers.
So Kai Havertz did manage. He attempted 9 ground duels in the game against Forest. He won 5 of them. 3 aerial duels, 1 of the 7 attempted. Fouled them 2 times. Was fouled 4 times. Fair play to him. Got in a clearance. Got in an interception. Got in a tackle as well. He showed quite a little bit, an 89% pass accuracy too. You know, I think Havertz was very good last week at serving the system and what Arteta wanted the team to do in terms of shape and all that. In terms of impact in the final third, we maybe didn't get as much. I'm not sure we're going to have the levels of possession and dominance we did last week against Palace today. And so you need your most trusted, efficient game winners and deciders, and Trossard's one of them for me.
Listen, I've been crying out for Trossard for what feels like forever. I love the player, man. I think he's been an immense signing for us. And when we signed him in January, not a lot of people, because of the Mudrik's situation, were really extremely excited by it. But I was, and I do really like Trossard. I think with what I'm seeing, I don't really know what more he can do to start or deserve a start. And whether that's off the left or right, we can debate that. And I just wonder if there's an opportunity to maybe play him through the middle and allow him and Martinelli to just interlink a bit, and allow Martinelli to go through the middle if need be as well. That's what I'd like to see. I feel personally that every time he hasn't played, when he's come on, he's either scored or he's created something for either a goal or a good chance. 2 goals behind closed doors apparently against Luton. There we go. And I don't know if I'm right with this stat, so maybe you could check it after. Yeah. Apparently, since signing Trossard, the most GAs have come from him in the Arsenal side. So what more can he do?
Yeah.
What more can he do, man?
One thing I would say on that though is, we know that the success of Saka and Martinelli is not just because they're very good at cutting inside and shooting. It's also because they are unpredictable in the sense that they might go down the line and put the ball in the box. You know that if it's Trossard down the middle, they're not going to be putting the ball in the box as much as they would if they had someone like Eddie or someone like Kai in the middle. Yeah. So it does keep the defence guessing. If I'm a defender in that team, if I'm Anderson or if I'm Gahey or if I'm Mitchell, or if I'm sat there and I know that it's Trossard in the middle, I'm sitting there every time our wingers have the ball and go, there's no way they're taking me down the line. These men are cutting in today because they're not putting it in the box. And I think that might be another reason as to why he's reluctant to go with Trossard down the middle. Okay.
I think that's a great point. If you're Anderson and Gahey, is that an aerial battle you really want to get involved in? Well, we beat them last season, again, opening away game for us. That wasn't the approach. Let's just have a little look. You mentioned Trossard. He has got 12 goals and assists in 24 games. A goal or an assist every 2 games. That breaks down to 2 goals and 10 assists. But of course, he's been amongst the goals in pre-season, scoring against the All-Stars, scoring 2 against Barcelona, apparently 2 against Luton, behind closed doors. We never saw the highlights. Thank you for that, Arsenal. And of course, they beat Barcelona. No, I mentioned Barcelona. Community should have got the goal. We've got the Palace 11, which means the Arsenal 11 should be into us any second, but I imagine Monday Night Football is going to announce that to us. We know Ayew, as you are correct, sure it is out on the right wing. The Arsenal team, Ramsdale in goal, Partey, White, Saliba, Tomiyasu, Odegaard, Rice, Havertz, Saka, Nketiah and Martinelli. A round of applause for Dan, who got it absolutely spot on. Tomiyasu comes in for Timber, and it's an unchanged 11. Other than that, Gabriel remains on the bench. Trossard is also on the bench. It is the exact same 11, bar Tomiyasu coming in for Timber.
Look at that bench.
That's a stacked
Look
bench.
at that bench.
It really is.
It's a fantastic bench, but this is incredibly brave from Mikel Arteta. Hands up if you're thinking brave, hands down if you're thinking, what are you doing?
No, I think brave. I think brave. I mean, look, if you're willing to do that Forest at home, and then you're willing to do that here on a Monday night, it shows you've got faith in that system.
Yeah, and it needs to work, man. I mean, I will say this, the first half against Forest, I think it did work, if I'm honest. A lot of people said they were disappointed.
Oh, I agree. First half
work.
was good, yeah.
Second half, I think what didn't help was we looked absolutely knackered, which is quite a concern in the first game, week 1. But if we can continue to see performances from what we saw in the first half, then this could work. Listen, I think the only thing I could say about this, James, is they have got Lerma and they've got Decore in the middle.
Yeah.
I need to see Partey in there for that, and I want to see that. So if he's going to be right back and then in and out of possession coming inside, that'll work for me. But if we start to see Partey out of that midfield battle, I ain't liking Rice and Havertz in there. I love Rice, by the way, but Havertz, yeah, I'm not sure, man. But listen, it's got to work, man. It's got to work.
Frank?
I'm really concerned again by the lack of Gabriel. I really am.
Same, he's in my fantasy team, man.
Bizarre, man. It's
I have to get rid of this guy.
It really is, and maybe there is some truth to the rumours, guys. I mean, I can't think of any other reason why Gabriel doesn't start in this game. And obviously, moving on to the midfield, with everything we said about, you know, having our strongest better players available than Kai Havertz. Not to say Kai Havertz has done a bad job so far, but he starts again. And I feel really sorry for Leandro Trossard, because he's got so many players in the positions that he can play. You know, you've got Saka and Martinelli that are immovable. I'd be really interested to see him play where Martin Odegaard plays, but again, immovable. You're only really looking at that striker position. Eddie got the goal last week. You can't argue with goals as a striker, so I don't know where he's going to fit in. I really don't.
I'm going to come clean, everyone, right? I don't like it.
I
And I know
completely agree.
last week, and we
Well done for saying how it is.
No, I was on the Community Shield. That
Right.
one.
Completely agree.
Last week, I said, listen, let Arteta try something different. It's Forest away. But for me, Forest away and Palace
Forest at home.
Forest at home and Palace away, they're not in the same bracket of fixtures. Forest at home, I really think with all due respect to Forest, like I say, 'cause we won, I really think we could have put out what a Carabao Cup team might look like, and I would still expect us to win. Palace away, I don't. I think Palace work you really, really hard. It's very difficult. Mikel Arteta's about to chat to the Monday Night Football team, so hopefully we'll get some quotes in on what's being said and why he's gone for this 11 like he did last week. I just think it's incredibly risky. And I understood the whole, well, Partey and Vert, so actually the back three looks very similar, and he's gone for this new system where Havertz is floating behind. It's the Cruyff 3, Diamond 3 thing. I just really think that Lerma, Decore, Eze, I think they could have some fun.
Yeah.
In
I worry.
terms of physically
I worry about
overwhelming Arsenal. I do worry about that. Havertz, he's really trying to get him in that team.
Can I just quickly ask on that point? And I'd love to get your opinions on this. It's serious when I say this. There's a huge difference between competition for places and being fair. Does that make sense? Has he been fair with the likes of Trossard and Gabriel now?
Good question.
What has actually Gabriel done here? Because if it isn't, he's going to Real Madrid. What the hell is he doing?
Well, the answer
What's going on there?
I think the answer is really simple. It's fair if we win. Like if we win and Arsenal keep getting better and better.
That's why I said it's got to work, James. This has got to work tonight.
Quite frankly, they all have to take it.
It's very risky, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very
and if
risky.
it doesn't go right, the players who were at the heart of everything when it was going right before will rightly ask, well, why am I out this team suddenly? What are you trying? It's costing us points. I'm concerned because, say Partey and Virtue have a bit of the ball. They're good at turnovers, Palace. They're good at going down the counter and causing us problems. So Partey's either got to press right or come out to right back and cover. You've still got players like Schlippenai who can cause problems. I don't think this is the game for it. I defended him last week for Forest. I don't think this is the game for it. I think this is one too far.
Do you think it could be, and this could be something we haven't discussed, Is it the fact that Jesus is out, so therefore we're playing differently with Havertz and Eddie, and when Jesus comes back in, both of those miss out?
Maybe.
And then we go back to 4-4-3.
I feel
can't
for
think of anything
Trossard. I
else,
feel
man.
for Trossard.
Look, it could be. No, but the reason
You're always sat there the whole time like, what's going
No,
on?
I am a bit confused by it, but I'm always now, and I always have to hold Man City as the standard because of what they've achieved, right?
Yeah.
I look at the way that squad gets managed in the Premier League, in the Champions League, in all of these ancillary competitions. No one's sitting there talking about whether it's fair or not to leave man like Phil Foden on the bench. No one's sitting there when Bernardo Silva's on the bench. No one's sitting there when Julian Alvarez is on the bench. That's just the name of the game sometimes. And when you're at elite level and it's a 38-game league season, but you've got the Champions League, sometimes very good players get left out, man. And that's what a strong squad is. That's why the first thing I said when I looked at that is that bench is stacked.
Yeah.
Because half of them could walk into the first team.
Let's remind everyone of that bench.
That's just the way we need. I feel like we've been out of that elite level of competition for so long now.
Yeah.
That we are sort of hell bent on an 11 that we like and an 11 that we trust, and not too much variety because we never had the options for that variety.
Raya, Zinchenko, Kivior, Gabriel, Jorginho, Smith Rowe, Nelson, Vieira, and Trossard
Gully.
is the bench.
That is a gully. Honestly, that is a serious bench.
No
It's a very
Tierney
good
again,
bench. No Tierney again. I was thinking, where are the right backs on that bench? I realise they're all starting.
They're all on the pitch. Yeah.
White, Partey, Tobiasu, who can all play right back,
all on
all
the pitch.
starting, and Cedric's obviously not in the squad.
And none of them are playing right back.
I
Three
think
right backs not playing right back. What a
And
time.
that's
to
another
be-
thing that's a bit odd because all of last season we was like we've got to have 2 left-sided centre backs and 2 right-footed right centre backs. All the right-footed players are playing along the back 4 now.
Well, we were saying that.
This is bizarre.
He wasn't necessarily saying that. We were justifying his selection based on that.
yeah, it's also
Maybe they were just the few that he trusted last year.
Ame asks, what is going on with Gabriel? Is it disciplinary action? We're on the verge of achieving something great. And players do this. Well, I mean, we don't know. Nothing's been said that there's anything disciplinary, so let's see. I don't know. I totally take your point about elite squad means players get left out, but I still want to see what I think is our best team to beat Palace.
This wasn't
Now-
the team that I chose.
Yeah, no, I know it wasn't,
Yeah.
and I know, and I understand people watching this going, you think you know better than Mikel? No, I don't think that. I clearly don't. But I have doubts. If we don't win today and we see a really stop-start performance that lacks cohesion, questions will rightly be asked. I don't think anyone needs to go into meltdown, but this is one of those where the fans are pretty certain on how they feel about this 11 and how it should look. So if Arteta gets this wrong, he just has to hold responsibility. But of course, we hope he gets it right. Apparently we're having audio issues, but we're going to round off there anyway. The 11 is out. Just a reminder to everyone, is Ramsdale in goal. Partey at right back, he keeps his place there. Of course, he inverted a lot against Forest. Will we see a lot of that again today? White, Saliba, Tomiyasu make the rest of the back four. Tomiyasu in for the injured Timber. The rest is the exact same front 6 that we saw against Forest with Rice, Havertz and Odegaard. Saka, Martinelli, Nketiah, a bench of Raya, Zinchenko, Kivior. Gabriel is on the bench again for the second Premier League game in a row. Jorginho, Smith Rowe, Nelson, Vieira and Trossard. The Palace 11, Johnston in goal, Ward, Anderson, Gaten, Mitchell as the back four, Doucouré and Lerma as the 2 sitting midfielders with Eze Lightly in the 10, Schlupp on the left, Edouard up top and Ayew on the right. They've got the likes of Gordon on the bench, Klein, Riedewald as well, Ahamada. So let's see how Palace do on the day as well. We hope not too well because we want this to be comfortable for Arsenal. All right, we're going to leave it there. Big thanks to everyone. You're going to see us all in a bit. And of course, Frank will be on the information station from around 7:30 UK time for the kickoff at 8 p.m. See you in a bit. Many thanks.